What if the story you heard in Sunday school, that Lucifer was hurled from heaven because of naked pride, wasn't exactly how the earliest Christians in Africa remembered it? In the next 12 minutes, I will carry you inside stone-hewn churches of northern Ethiopia to read a version so daring that medieval Europe locked it out of the canon. Here, Satan, named Satanel or Azazel, does not fall because he wants God's throne. He falls because he refuses to bow before a creature made of red clay, you and me. Hidden in the Ge'ez manuscript called the First Book of Adam and Eve lies a line where Michael commands the angels, "Worship the image of God." Satanel answers, "I will not prostrate before dust." That forgotten sentence changes everything. It recasts the devil's first sin as a theological protest, not a coup d'etat, a debate about justice, not ego. If that grabs your curiosity, stay tuned. The New Testament Epistle of Jude quotes directly from an Ethiopic tradition, naming Enoch the seventh from Adam. Many scholars believe the same verse once cited a lost prophecy in which Michael replaced Satanel as archangel after the refusal to honor Adam. Later, scribes trimmed it, but Ethiopian homilies kept the whole sentence intact. That editorial scar is our trailhead. Now let us open the scrolls. Picture a chilly sunrise glazing the basalt walls of Lalibela, Ethiopia's New Jerusalem, carved straight down into volcanic rock. Chanting echoes through tunnels as priests in white gabi cloth emerge holding manuscripts wrapped like newborns. These volumes, written in Ge'ez, the liturgical language of Ethiopian Orthodoxy, include books that vanished elsewhere. 1 Enoch, Jubilees, the Ascension of Isaiah, and the First Book of Adam and Eve. Scholars date some copies to the 14th century, but oral tradition claims the words are far older, carried south by refugees after Jerusalem fell to Rome. The Book of Adam and Eve opens before Eden's gate has even cooled. God fashions the heavenly host from living flame. At their head stands Satanel, whose name means Light of God. He wears a breastplate of emerald and commands 12 legions. When creation moves on to clay, the earth shudders at the novelty. God shapes Adam, breathes a storm of spirit into his nostrils, and invests him with luminescent skin, brighter than the sun. Then, in a line found only in the Ethiopic witnesses, God orders every rank of angel to bow before Adam, for he bears my likeness. Most kneel. Satanel folds his wings, rises, and argues, "Am I not elder? Shall I salute mud?" And here we meet the crucial nuance. The manuscript says God permits the question, testing loyalty not to raw authority, but to the mystery of divine freedom. Satanel storms away, his sandals sparking on the sapphire floor. Only when he rallies a third of the host with philosophical rhetoric, justice must honor precedence. Does Michael sound the trumpet of banishment? Pride grows inside protest like a worm in fruit. The text insists Satanel was not condemned for asking. He was condemned for refusing the answer. Archaeology joins the witness. In 1931, French explorer Henri Dumont found a clay tablet near Axum listing angelic rankings identical to the Adam and Eve manuscript. Carbon dating pushed the engraving to the 10th century. The synergy between artifact and parchment persuades scholars that Ethiopia did not invent the tale in isolation, but preserved an Eastern Mediterranean current after Islamic conquests rerouted textual traffic. Such finds invite seasoned viewers, many of whom recall the thrill of Tutankhamun's tomb, to savor a new chapter in biblical detective work. Most Western catechisms condense Lucifer's fall into one motive: hubristic ambition. Augustine, echoing Isaiah, pictures the archangel shouting, "I will ascend," and being instantly hurled down. In contrast, the Ethiopic account records a multi-stage descent. First comes intellectual descent. Second comes organized defiance. Only then falls the hammer. That sequence reframes evil as a slow drift, not a single leap. Abba Georgis of Gasicha, preaching in the 15th century, warned clergy that heresy begins as a question asked too long. The Ethiopian theologians go further. They claim Satanel feared that matter, soil, flesh, appetite, might contaminate the purity of heaven. His objection therefore masqueraded as reverence. Spirit should not kneel to mud. By refusing Adam, Satanel believed he was preserving transcendence. God, however, was revealing a larger plan, to unite earth and heaven through incarnation. In the Ethiopic telling, Michael answers the rebel with a prophecy. The Son of the Most High shall put on this dust, and you will gnash your teeth. That line foreshadows the gospel centuries before Bethlehem. The manuscript continues. After Adam's exile, Satanel does not instantly tempt him. He first submits a formal petition, asking God to grant him authority to prove humanity's weakness. The Almighty consents within limits, an early echo of Job, showing that Satan operates on a leash. Satanel's vengeance becomes prosecutorial. He wants evidence to vindicate his thesis that clay cannot bear glory. That shift from anarchic traitor to prosecuting attorney is uniquely Ethiopian and resonates with viewers who spent careers in law, medicine, or auditing, where evidence, not noise, decides outcomes. For modern psychology, the Ethiopian variation offers a case study in cognitive dissonance. Satanel's self-image as pure spirit collides with a directive that appears to downgrade him. Instead of recalibrating, he doubles down, recruiting allies to confirm his worldview. Classic confirmation bias. Pastors counseling midlife crises may recognize the pattern. When career identities collapse, some cling to fading prestige and lash out at rising generations. The ancient drama thus reads like a mirror for modern souls. If evil can hide inside duty, how do we guard our own motives? Hold that thought as we cross from heaven's bench to earth's furnace. When sentence finally drops, tradition says Satanel plunges in a whirlwind of sparks. The Gaia's chronicle, Kebre Nagest, describes him landing on the fiery plain of Dalol, a technicolor wasteland of boiling acid pools in today's Danakil Depression. Local Afar tribes call the place the gateway to hell. Visiting scientists require gas masks. The legend adds that every year on the anniversary of the fall, geysers hiss louder, reminding Earth of an unfinished trial. If visions of demon-seared deserts and celestial lawsuits fascinate you, pause one heartbeat and click subscribe. Here at the Faithful Scribe, we transform forgotten manuscripts into living stories every single week. Ring the bell and journey with us beyond the familiar pew. Back to the saga. Cast down, Satanel sheds his name of light and becomes Satan, the resistor. Yet, curiously, the Ethiopian text grants him a courtroom cameo after the flood. Noah, drunk and disgraced, lies uncovered. Satan points and claims victory. See, dust always returns to shame. Michael counters by forecasting Abraham, Moses, and finally Mary. That telescopic debate threads through Ethiopian liturgy, read each Lent to highlight salvation history as an answer to angelic skepticism. Reflection question. Do you ever feel your worst failures are ammunition in someone else's argument against you? How might Michael's long view encourage endurance? Share below. I read every testimony and many spark future episodes. Folklore layers yet more color. Villagers near Lake Tana tell of Tsebel Satan, holy water springs that bubble whenever demons tremble at pilgrim prayers. They claim the hiss you hear at dawn is Satan remembering his fall. Scientists chalk it up to geothermal venting, but pilgrims leave cured of migraines and despair. The convergence of myth and medicine reminds us that stories, whether literal or symbolic, shape neural pathways toward hope or dread. Why did Western councils sideline this rich narrative? Scholars cite three intertwined reasons. First, textual authority. The Book of Adam and Eve survives in multiple languages: Ge'ez, Arabic, Armenian, none traced to a clear apostolic pen. Second, doctrinal clarity. Medieval Europe leaned on Augustine's sharp categories of original sin, while the Ethiopian version clouds blame between angels and humans. Third, political unity. A Christianity stretching from Ireland to Constantinople needed a concise creed, not a library of competing epics. Yet echo after echo slips through. Revelation's dragon drags stars. The Quran's Iblis refuses clay. Even Kabbalistic Judaism speaks of Samael balking at bowing. These parallels suggest a buried common ancestor, perhaps a Second Temple midrash, that Ethiopia preserved while Rome streamlined. Modern textual critics compare Ge'ez phrases with Aramaic magic bowls and find matching incantations. Such detective work excites retirees who finally have time for deep reading. It shows faith behaving like a grand oak, roots sprawling far beneath the visible trunk. Ethiopian clergy argue they never added books. Rather, Rome subtracted them during imperial realignments. Their canon contains 81 books, including the Synodos and Ethiopic Clement, forming a library closer in size to the Dead Sea Scrolls than to the Protestant 66. Retired engineer viewers may appreciate the data point. 90% of known Second Temple Jewish literature is non-canonical, yet still informed Jesus' world. Scripture, then, is iceberg as much as shoreline. Most of its mass lies unseen, yet it shapes every current. Important hook. If multiple traditions remember an angel refusing to honor humanity, maybe our vocation is grander than we dared hope. Maybe each act of kindness vindicates God's trust in dust. Let us harvest three insights. First, humility trumps chronology. Seniority can seduce. God's kingdom crowns servants, not pioneers. Whether you command a boardroom or a backyard barbecue, bowing to the dignity of the newest member echoes Michael's obedience. Second, debate can be holy until it hardens. Satanel's initial question was permitted. Persistence became rebellion. In marriage, church committees, even national politics, the danger line appears when we cannot imagine being wrong. Wisdom listens, then submits when truth is clear. Third, identity evolves. Satanel clung to being firstborn of light, yet Michael accepted reassignment and rose higher. Many of you watching have retired from one profession. Do not let old titles chain fresh callings. God may ask a former executive to mentor teens or a lifelong teacher to raise orchids. Both acts bow to Adam's descendants. Final question. If you stood among the angels that day, would your instinct mirror Michael's or Satanel's? Kneel or critique? Let the comment thread become our modern counsel. And before I forget, preserving parchments, filming on location, and licensing translations cost treasure. If this channel enriches you, consider joining our Patreon circle. Even the price of a weekly coffee empowers new expeditions to remote monasteries and keeps these revelations flowing to screens worldwide. Was Lucifer's fall a lie? No, it was a prism. The Western beam shows blinding pride. The Ethiopian facet reveals wounded reverence that mutated into defiance. Together they warn that motives matter as much as deeds, and that heaven values humility over hierarchy. You have trekked through lava fields, cathedral caverns, and angelic councils in just 12 minutes. If this journey deepened your awe, send the link to a fellow seeker. Remember to like, subscribe, and visit Patreon. Until next week, I'm your host at the Faithful Scribe, reminding you that the greatest stories are still hidden in plain sight, waiting for faithful eyes to open them. Continue exploring, and never underestimate the hidden power of dust.